Welcome back, beautiful souls. If this is your first time here, then welcome. I'm so happy to spend some time with you today. Here on my channel, my focus is spreading my experience with healing my anxiety and depression and coming out of that and learning to fall in love with life. I hope that what I share can be of use to those who stop by. And if you like what I do, I hope that you'll stay a while. Today, we are going to talk about an emotion which I think is one of the most important to learn, and that is gratitude. Gratitude is the emotion that helped me finally begin to shift the darker energies and the more stagnant energies out of myself that came with being in that mental state of anxiety and depression. I've spoken about self-love before, and that was super important to me on my journey. But when I started, self-love felt so far away. So instead, I started with gratitude, and from there, I was able to then build into other emotions like joy and excitement and playfulness and self-love. I'm going to share with you today the 3 methods that I practice daily to cultivate more gratitude. I don't always practice these every day anymore because I just do not feel like I need them. But if I do feel myself slipping, then I will start to practice them all again. So if this is something that you would like to learn, I hope you'll stick around until the end of the video. But first, as always, I'll get you to close your eyes and focus on your heart space and feel into your heart space without judgment and with compassion. And just breathe into that heart space. So as I mentioned, gratitude was one of the first emotions that I learned to cultivate within myself in my journey to healing and falling in love with life. I adopted very simple practices, and I needed these practices to be easy and quick because it took so much focus and energy for me to achieve when I was in that place that if someone had told me that you need to do this daily practice that takes an hour, there was no way I was doing that. So these practices are meant to only take you a couple of minutes a day. There's only 3 of them. You can take what you like and leave the rest. But I promise you that once you learn to cultivate gratitude in your life, it will make a huge difference, not only in how you feel and how you experience life, but also in your manifestations and in cultivating the things that you want more of in your life. So the first practice that I want to talk about today is quite a common one, and that is when you get up in the morning, thinking about 3 things that you are grateful for in your life. It doesn't have to be straight away when you wake up. There's certainly days where I would wake up and I would just be rushing to get ready for work, and there was no way I was taking time out of that rush to think about 3 things I was grateful for, and I was not in the right headspace for it. But often after my day had started, when I would find some time, either during one of my short breaks at work or after I had run a couple of errands, I would start to reflect and think about 3 things I was grateful for. I say 3 because sometimes even finding 3 felt like a challenge. So when you're thinking about what you're going to be grateful for, these don't have to be big things. They don't have to be big events, and often that's what we associate gratitude with. We are grateful when we buy a new car or move to a new place or our business is going well. And those are fantastic things, but they are not your everyday things. So, in order to come up with 3 things every day, just think about the small things. Sometimes my gratitude list would look like, I am so grateful for the cup of tea that I had this morning. I am so grateful for my wonderful friend that I have in my life. I am so grateful for my comfortable bed, which I can't wait to get back to you at night. It's the little things that will help get you started, because when you're in that place, it can be very hard to think about the big things. I wanted to add a little caveat to this, that when I started doing this, I actually got a gratitude buddy. So that was a friend that was doing the same gratitude practices. So we would message each other every day with the 3 things we were grateful for. Sometimes she would message me first, sometimes I would message her first. But having that gratitude buddy really kept us both on track, kept us accountable, and also reminded us, because it was so easy when you start these small habits or these small practices to just forget in our day-to-day life, particularly if you run a very busy life. So that's my first method that I used. The second method that I used was gratitude journaling. So this would be done at the end of my day, preferably before I was too tired, because if I allowed myself to get too tired, then I would just want to go to sleep. I would find it hard to think about things I was grateful for because I was tired and perhaps uncomfortable. So sometime in the evening towards the end of the day, I would reflect over my day and I would write down in my journal things that I was grateful for that happened that day. So again, we're looking at the small things, not the big things. The big things are great. If you buy a car that day, absolutely write that down. But in your day-to-day life, my gratitude journal looks like, I'm so grateful today for that woman who smiled at me in the shop and that made me feel happy. Or I am so grateful today that all my animals are well. I am so grateful today that I had enough energy to get through the day. At first, when you start this, it might feel a little bit mechanical and like you're going through the motions. But as you continue to practice gratitude and writing these things down, making a note of these things, your energy will begin to shift and you will start to feel more gratitude as you practice them and throughout your day. And as you are noticing these things at the end of the day and in the beginning of the day, you will train yourself to look for things to be grateful for. And I think this was really the key to shifting my everyday mindset to being more grateful about life and my experiences. The final method I used was meditation. So if you've been on my channel and looked at any of my videos, you probably realize that I love meditation. I swear by it. I think meditation made the greatest shift in my life. I understand it's not for everyone, but for me, meditation was really a big key in creating that shift so that I could learn to be grateful and cultivate gratitude without needing an external source. So when I would do these meditations, I would find a quiet time in my day. I would sit down and close my eyes and I would turn my energy inwards and I would focus on gratitude I would focus on trying to feel it within my body and getting familiar with that feeling. And at first, I had to use examples of what I was grateful for. So, this is where the lists come in and the journal comes in. I would use those things to really cultivate that. And then, as I became more and more familiar with the feeling, how it felt in my body, how my body responded to gratitude, over time, I no longer needed to use those examples in my life to cultivate the feeling, and I was able to bring up the feeling when I was in those quiet moments during meditation. Now, I meditate for 30 minutes to an hour, but I am not saying that you have to meditate as long as I do for this to work for you. A 5-minute meditation, a 3-minute meditation, even a 1-minute meditation focusing on gratitude and just disconnecting from your reality, disconnecting from your state that you have gotten used to being in, and trying on the feeling of gratitude will make a huge difference. And you can do micro meditations throughout the day. So when you have a few seconds, just turning inwards and thinking about gratitude, trying to bring up that feeling. And then over time, you will become so familiar with it that you'll be able to bring it up in a few seconds. So these are the 3 main methods that I used to cultivate gratitude. It took time for me to really shift out of that place. But as I continued to do this as a practice, I would have glimmers throughout the day of what my life could feel like. I would be driving down the road and I would not be thinking about much at all. And I would notice the beautiful trees on the side of the road, and I would start to feel gratitude for them without making any effort. Or when I got up in the morning to feed the animals, and I would notice the way the sun was rising, the colors of the sky, and the shafts of light through the trees, and I would feel gratitude for that. I would have a lunch and that I really enjoyed, and I would begin to feel gratitude for that. And the real key to gratitude, or the real secret to gratitude, and why it is such a powerful emotion and why it is so important to cultivate, is because gratitude actually opens you up to receiving things from the universe, from source, from light, whatever word you want to use. I like to use universe. But being in that state of being grateful for things that are coming into your life will signal to the universe to bring you more things to be grateful for. So this isn't just a mindset shift, this is also an energetic shift. And the frequency of gratitude is very, very, very high. Much, much higher than the frequencies of the emotions we normally associate with mental illness, such as shame and guilt and anger. They are very low vibration emotions. And the thing is, whatever it is you focus on in your life, you are going to get more of that. You are going to get your reality reinforced for you. So if you are focusing on all the ways that you feel guilty, the universe is going to give you more ways for you to feel guilty. You are also going to notice things that make you feel guilty because it changes your perception and you recognize those things in your life which are frequency match for where you're at. So someone who is in a high frequency of gratitude is going to notice things that make them feel more gratitude. But someone who is in a place of shame is going to notice things that makes them feel more shame. And that is why it's so important to start to try and cultivate the emotions you actually want to feel. So that's all I have for you today. I'm so grateful for you coming here. If you made it this far, please, I would love it if you would put an emoji in the comments section just so that I know that people are actually making it this far. Otherwise, I hope to see you in the next video. Lots of love on your journey to falling in love with life.